Hi everybody, and welcome to my Jeep Grand Wagoneer restoration project.
With the Jeep Wagoneer, you can do better. A lot better. This is the one family wagon with everything. Famous Jeep four-wheel drive and rugged components to take you off the road. Luxurious interiors to make your trip comfortable. The stylish but rugged Jeep Wagoneer. A great way to get away. Jeep, toughest four-letter word on wheels.
I know a lot of you have seen this truck in other people's videos. This truck actually has quite a story. It was actually an apple farmer's truck. This thing only has like 6,000 miles on it. What I know is that the Dolan Orchards doesn't exist anymore, so that guy's gone. So what I think happened was it had a problem. He parked it. It was a repair shop it was parked at, and that later got turned into a Napa. So this truck was parked. It sat. It actually had one of the windows open, so the interior was destroyed. We'd see it all the time. We actually went to this Napa all the time for other car projects, and we're just sitting there in the woods, not really in the woods, like the edge of the parking lot, just kind of sitting there abandoned. Up until a few years ago, I started looking for projects that me and my girlfriend could do together, because she's not really into cars at all, and I really wanted to find a project that she would be interested in. She said, hey, wait a minute, what about that truck that's sitting next to Napa? And I'm like, oh yeah, that thing, I don't know who owns it or whatever, but that'd be cool. That's a cool project, she'll like it, they're neat. So I called the guy who owned the property and I asked him what he wanted to sell it for, and he gave me this like big, blown out and like completely ridiculous number, and I was just like, yeah, no, I'm not buying that, that's ridiculous. Around 2017, I get a call. The guy who owned that Napa sold it, and a friend of mine bought it, and he said, hey, I heard you want this truck. And of course, I'm like, dude, hell yeah, I want that truck. I'm like, what do you want for it? And he said, hey, come and pick it up today, and it's yours. So I got this thing for free. Once I got it back to the shop, me and my buddy Vasco were just like, well, let's see if it starts, let's try this thing out. And like I said, the interior was disgusting. There was mold growing there. It was cobwebs. It was gross. It smelled awful. The ceiling stuff was coming down and hitting you in the face. So it wasn't a fun thing to be to be around. But we decided, like, hey, let's just get it started, see if it runs. So we actually pulled one of our go-to moves. I don't know if you've ever seen it on my boat video or not, but we dumped gas down the carburetor. And this thing started right up. I swear to God, I was like, no spark plugs. We didn't change the spark plug. We didn't change fuel filters. We didn't do anything.
Oh.
Dumped some fuel down the car, boom, started right up. I have no idea how long this thing has been sitting, but it's been there for as long as I know. Stupid stuff, it drove around and was fine. It just was real cruddy and ugly underneath, like everything was rusty and dirty, and there was because they used it as a farm truck that was caked in like inches of mud. I wish I could show you guys pictures of when we pulled this thing apart. Like when we separated the body from it, like it was just looked like a cake. Like you could see the outline of the body, and then you could see the body came off, and it looked like the body was still there. It was so insane. So anyway, here it is. Pretty stoked. I'm excited. I'm so excited to get this thing running, and I'm really excited to bring you guys along with me. So, follow along. We got this thing off the lift. We got it on this really cool little cart thing that I have, and we just dropped it right on there. So we put this thing down, we rolled it over here. We're gonna actually I put these blocks down outside, And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put a bar across these blocks, and then I'm gonna when we ride, we're gonna drive this thing out or roll it out, and we're gonna pick it up with a crane, put the bars underneath it, and then drop it down on top of there so he can get under there, so he can you know, like coat, you know, blast and then coat all of this, everything underneath here, and get this thing like pretty much, you know, picture perfect. We have the frame outside of the garage now, and we're getting ready to sandblast it and paint it. And guys from Surface Press Pro and over in Poughkeepsie are here. They actually come out with this big rig, and they sandblast things, and then they're gonna paint it. So we're getting sandblasting done right now. I don't actually want to go outside though, because it is loud and dusty and I don't want to deal with any of that noise. Coat it with black when they're done, so it's going to be pretty much a new thing. Then what I can do is I can go through and I can start replacing all the rubber bushings on it, replace the springs, replace the shocks, replace all the stuff that needs to get replaced before we actually put the body on it. So I guess this is a compressor, is what I'm guessing. And then they got a cooling thing there to cool down the air that comes out of it. I have no idea what that is. Maybe a water separator. And then it comes over here, and this is the media. So, you know, I guess they have these buckets of media in that those big bags. They probably take it out and they do that. So right now he's just painting, so I'm sure he's just running through this just with no material. Oh yeah, he's got an air hose hooked up to that. So he's not running any material through here right now. He's just running air, and you know, seems to work. Pretty cool little trailer he's got here. Pretty cool little rig. It wasn't super expensive to do this, which I'm really stoked about. And he was local, and he gave me it was like a week maybe. He's like, oh, I called him, I texted him, and he was like, oh yeah, I'll be out there in a week. So this guy's cool. All right, so here it is. This is the Wagoneer's frame after it's gotten all sandblasted and painted. So also I've got to say I cheated a little bit because I didn't bring a camera with me for like 2 days, and we did a lot of work to it. So what I've done to this frame since it's been sandblasted was I replaced all the shocks. Obviously they're all brand new. I replaced the leaf springs on here. These are brand new leaf springs. I replaced a few other things. I replaced this traction bar across here, both the ends obviously. I replaced the lines. I replaced all the brake lines. So the brake lines are brand new. I put in the new brake bias switch, which it's an automatic one, but either way, I put the exhaust on here because I needed to mount the gas tank, and I obviously welded the whole gas tank in. So the gas tank is mounted now. It's pretty firm. It's looking good. Rear brake lines are done. Yeah, I've got new shackles on order because these were kind of rusty and ugly, so I did get some new shackles. I got a little paint on my exhaust. I gotta wash that off or get that off somehow. But yeah, so I mean, this thing's pretty sweet. I mean, these guys who did this blasting, this is the way to go, definitely, because this thing was an old cruddy frame before they got their hands on it. They sandblasted everything down to perfect, and you know, it really made my job a lot easier when I was replacing things. You know, obviously because I left parts on it, there was rust underneath what I was replacing, but you know, when I pulled that off, I just brushed on some Por 15, you know, obviously scuffed it up before I did that, and you know, it really came out good. So I'm really happy with how this is going. I'm just waiting for some bolts. I got bolts for the sway bar to go back in, and yeah, that's it. The only thing I have left to do to this body this chassis is I have to pull off the rear wheels and do the brake kit on it, but I had other stuff I had to get done, so I just decided I'll leave that for the end. And yeah, so that's where we're at right now. Let's check out the body that's inside still and show you what I'm doing on the motor, because that's pretty much what I'm waiting on doing now, is just putting the motor on this thing and putting the body back on it. So pretty excited.